That's a Winds of Abandon. That's good. Oh my god, opponents are going to get so many lands.
Today on Commander Replay, we take another look at this partner tribal deck. Can we win after multiple Winds of Abandon? Find out next on Commander Replay. The 2020 GoFundMe is active. If you want to do one-on-one deck reviews with me, or get one of your decks played on video, be sure to check out the link in the description below.
Welcome back, everyone. We are playing some more Partner Tribal today, Partners in Crime. Take a look at this opening hand. You know, I'm not really sure what to make of this opening hand. A lot of lands. Lands are cool. Got a shuffle in this elixir. Not too much else happening other than this tutor. What creature do we even grab to get the ball rolling? I guess we try it. Like, it's got lands. It's got multiple colors. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Let's keep. One thing I noticed while I was looking at the deck before the game is that a lot of things at 3 convert to mana cost. So the fact that there's 4 lands in this hand is a good thing because we're probably going to draw into some 3-drops just based on the number of them that are in the deck. So I'm going to figure out what we're actually going to try to get with this Eldamri's Call. Maybe like a Peer and Toothy. Toothy gets us cards, and I think I like that a lot. But anyway, yeah, this is an updated version of the Partner Tribal deck from GoFundMe supporter Danny, because I can't read, and I played the wrong deck list last time. Oops. So here we are taking another look at it, but it was a pretty cool deck last time around. This one has all of the Commander 20 partners in the deck, so that's pretty sweet. So yeah, I'm excited to give this a go. I did make one little change. I took out Door to Nothingness, which is kind of a fun little way to take someone out of the game, but it is a little bit mana intense and only takes out one player. Added in Sunbird's Invocation instead, just because I think Sunbird's Invocation is going to do more of what this deck wants to be doing, which is just kind of like value-y creature stuff. We draw a Blood Crypt, another land. Let's start with the irrigated farmland. We could, maybe let's start with the Prairie Stream, actually. Just in case we flood like crazy, I might keep the irrigated farmland around to have it for cycling. We actually don't have any green mana yet. I think I may have overlooked that. So hopefully we draw into green mana soon, then we can use the Eldamri's Call. But if not, we're just going to be playing tap lands for a little while. Here's a Skull Clamp for opponent. And by the way, Ramos Dragon Engine is our commander. So last time we played this deck, and I'll link to that in the description below, didn't really have that much to do with Ramos, but it is there and can generate mana for us, and incredibly relevant right now is colorless, since our colors are all over the place in our hand with our mana currently, so that could be a thing that does matter at some point. Pearl Medallion coming in for opponent, and there's a Swords for us, a little bit of removal, don't really need that just yet. That being the case, what are we doing right here? Whew. Could go for a tap land, lose the cycle ability. I'm not sold on the cycle yet, so let's go Blood Crypt tapped, and we'll get the Elixir of Immortality into play. Like, if our next 2 or 3 draws aren't lands, then obviously we're going to want to make all those land drops. We've also got the super awkward early game Bojuka Bog. One of the reasons that I don't run it as much as I probably should, especially if I'm in mono black where the number of swamps you play matter. But in a multicolor deck like this, I get it. It's just kind of a low cost way to have some graveyard removal, and graveyard removal is important, so I get it, but sometimes you get stuck with these awkward early game Bojuka Bogs. No love for that. Opponent plays a Legion's Landing, gets a token, feeds a token to the Skull Clamp, gonna draw themselves some cards. Seems pretty good. We'll take a look at what our opponents are playing today. First up, we have Kithron piloting Mangara the Diplomat. We've seen this deck list a few times around. Don't know if they've been updating it, or they may even have multiple Mangara deck lists, I'm not sure. But it's the mono white commander that says draw cards, and there's some things you can do with that. Alhamret's Archive, namely, is pretty cool. And the fact that it's card draw doesn't necessarily lean you into one strategy over another. I know they do have a life gain build of the Mangara deck where they kind of do a lot of Soul Sisters type stuff, and we could be looking at that. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out for it. That does bring it back to our turn, just lands for our opponents in this cycle. We draw Happily Ever After. Nice. When it enters the battlefield, each player gains 5 life and draws a card. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 5 colors among permanents you control, there are 6 or more card types among permanents you control and or cards in your graveyard, and your life total is greater than or equal to your starting life total, you win the game. It's a lot of conditions. A lot of conditions right there. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. We're just going to hang that into our hand. We could play it right now, unless we really need to draw a card for some reason. Probably just hang on to that. I think Gaia Reach Sanitarium right here, and let's just go for a loot. We could wait on this loot, but I kind of just want to see what's coming. What are we facing today? This is a Ravos deck right there. Makes me not want to discard the Bojuka Bog. Plains? Cycle Land? Cycle Land makes 2 colors of mana. That seems relevant, but does come in tapped. Is awkward. I mean, almost happily ever after. Like, that thing's going to be so hard to get going. Really just take the lands over that, honestly. I'll discard Irrigated Farmland. And I know I could have just cycled that land by itself, but whatever. There was always some chance we drew like another basic or something, and then, you know, ditch a basic, do that whole thing. I suppose that doesn't allow us our opponents to loot, but whatever. Is what it is. Also could have done it at the end step. All the things. But really just wanted to get a look, kind of be able to set up our next few turns, because I don't really know what we're doing. I don't like that. I don't like that feeling of like not having a clear plan of where I'm going. So we're looking at the Shabraz right now. Gives us something to look forward to. Gives us something to do. So I like that. Oketra's Monument coming in for opponent. Yeah, those are pretty good. I'm starting to like this cycle of cards a lot more. I know it's a few years old, but I think they've been underplayed relative to what they're able to do. And, you know, the big thing is that the cost reduction only applies to the color that corresponds with the god. The other ability applies to any creature that you cast. So let's just say, for example, you jammed... Oh god, what's the blue one? I can't think of the blue one's name right now. Kefnet. If you jammed Kefnet's Monument into this deck, you would still get the tap trigger for each white creature that you cast. And there's a lot of value. Having repeatable value for things like that can be cool, and there's some interesting things you can do. The red one loots, so if you're trying to do something graveyardy, even if you're not in like a mono red deck per se, that one can be very interesting. But yeah, I do think this is a really cool cycle of cards that I'm starting to just like a lot more. Stormkirk Noble into play for opponent, and then we've also got Nahiri the Lithomancer coming in, and that's going to make a 1/1 core soldier. And with that brings it back to our turn. Let's see, this would be our 4th mana, that would be our 5th. Okay, so we can hang on to this Bojuka Bog just a bit longer. Gonna try as much as we can to hang on to it. Play the Commander Sphere. And that actually does allow us, we can go Eldamri's Call. Probably do that at the end step, just in the off chance that we need to sword something. It is an instant, so why not? Shabraz will find Brawlin, and that gives us another creature to cast. Really thinking like Peer and Toothy for the card draw. I think they're very nice. Also, +1/+1 counters seems good too with Shabraz and Brawlin. There's a Pearl Medallion, all the cost reduction for the white opponent. There's a Hero of Bladehold. Gonna make a token on the way in, and once that Hero of Bladehold starts attacking, that's gonna be damage and creatures. Makes a lot of bodies. Hero of Bladehold, just a card that I've always really, really liked. If they made more white cards like this, we wouldn't be complaining about white having the problems that it does. Like, Hero of Bladehold is such a cool card. Makes a bunch of bodies, makes a bunch of power. Can end a game relatively quickly if it goes unchecked for a couple turns and has any kind of support to go with it. Stormkirk Noble on its way into us. Yep, that's gonna hit. Stormkirk Noble, a card that I played a lot in my Red Deck Wins circa 2011. Did a lot of work with Stormkirk Noble. Unfortunately, Snapcaster Mage Vapor Snag was a thing then, so you rarely ever got it above like 4 power. That was kind of the top of the mark, because somewhere along the way, you were going to get hit with a Vapor Snag. Marble Diamond coming in for opponent. Yep, more ramp. Finishing on our opponents, by the way. Next up, we have Ponycorn Smasher piloting Bruse Tarl and Ravos Soul Tender. This seems like it might be some sort of just like Mardu creature-based, reanimate-y kind of thing. It seems like it's just going to be combat stuff, and maybe some ability to get creatures back with Ravos is what I think we're going to see. There is a Varchild right here, which is really cool. It's a fun card. Having access to black does mean that you can find some cool combo pieces with Varchild, so something that could be interesting and or have to watch out for. And finally, we have Milk and Cheese 1, Sean piloting Nahiri the Lithomancer. Cool commander that I've always wanted to play. Maybe a little bit underwhelming relative to its cost and everything else, but still has interesting abilities, particularly if you want to be dealing with equipments. The ability to get equipment back from your graveyard or from your hand into the battlefield, pretty cool. You can also essentially free equip with the plus ability, really relevant if you want to be using things like Argentum Armor. And they did get down an Endless Atlas, so ready to do some card draw. Let's fire off this Eldamri's Call. A lot of creatures. What does this one do? Whenever it attacks, exile the top card of each player's library, and then you make it bigger for each card that you exile. That's kind of cool. That is another way of getting some card advantage, potentially. Ooh, Crom gets card advantage also. Really just kind of looking to draw a few cards, see what we got to do that. Paco's interesting in that when it partners, it gets us the other half, but I think I'm just on Toothy. Let's get Toothy. Fabro Elder. Well, this is awkward. You know, do we hold the Bajuka Bog? Or... I mean, we definitely get the Fabro Elder in. We need the mana. Like, need the mana. Maybe we go for Toothy. Toothy starts doing stuff. Yeah, let's get Toothy. I don't love this turn. So, play Toothy. Toothy's gonna partner. We're gonna get Pier into the hand. We're gonna play the saddest Bajuka Bog ever. I just don't want to fall behind on lands at this point. And, like, maybe we could have just, like, looted Happily Ever After earlier, and that's probably correct, but... Still short on green mana. If we caught a second green mana, we could potentially go Fabro Elder and Pier next turn. If not, we could potentially go Fabro Elder and Happily Ever After. Try to find our way into a land if we don't draw one. 2 white decks at the table, so like pretty good chance that there should be... Actually 3 with the Mardu deck. Should be some enchantment removal somewhere, so I don't think that Happily Ever After would like stick all the way through the game, but you never know what kind of wild stuff will happen. Auriok Champion coming in. Yep, that's going to trigger the Oketra's Monument. That makes a creature. That's going to start making a lot of creatures with the Oketra's Monument. Also pretty good with the Skull Clamp. Mangara got some nice pieces on the board right now. Boots into play. Yep. Probably about to start getting busy with the... puts it on a warrior. Totally forgot that we probably need the swords, the hero, but like... Varchild also does a really similar thing, so... Board wipe? Need a board wipe already? Nice. Opponent's going to do some attacking into the Nahiri. Try to deny that value. That's going to trigger some stuff, though. Legion's Landing is going to flip over. Opponent's going to get some soldier tokens and Battle Cry. And we'll see if they stack everything correctly. It looks like they do. Battle Cry on the bottom so that it pumps the tokens that you create. And they send in the tokens also at the Nahiri, so really just trying to take Nahiri off the board. That soaks up a lot of damage, because if they weren't doing all that, that'd be a lot of like chip damage that gets sent around the board, and like a good chunk of it probably coming our way because Varchild's a 3/3. There were some tokens over there. I think we would have been taking some damage. So that Planeswalker just saved us some life, which usually it saves its controller life, but also saving us a little bit of life right here. And opponent going to Skull Clamp a token, draw 2 more cards. Yep, keeping that hand full. They were down to 1, back up to 3, so keeping themselves going right there. Gonna clamp another one. Yep, drawing 2 more. Back up to 5. Pump and dump. The cost reduction, actually, yeah. 2 pieces of cost reduction is really, really good. Because I don't think the CMC in that deck is very high. So, like, next turn, they'll probably be able to cast multiple things. Here comes Falconrath Marauders. Also a card in Innistrad Standard. Tried this in Aurelia at points. It's just underwhelming. Like, it's not the end of the world if you have to run it, but all it does is damage, and even in that regard, it needs to stay on the field for a while to do, like, a lot of damage. Have I lost to it? Yeah, I've lost to it once or twice, but at 5 mana, you generally have better options, so unless you're doing, like, a very specific thing. Not going to see that many Falconrath Marauders, but extra combats and double strike do make it get a lot better. Opponent spreading around some damage here, and we got a bunch of things triggering. Falconrath Marauder is going to get some counters, Stromkirk Noble, and Varchild create some tokens for the Nahiri opponent. And those tokens can't block, and they can't attack the person with Varchild. And all that triggers the Auriok Champion a whole bunch of times, so Kithron up to 44. Seems pretty good. Oh, that's true conviction. Who brought enchantment removal? So if we play Happily Ever After, True Conviction will definitely get shot before Happily Ever After, unless, of course, it's like Austere Command or something. But if we're talking about spot removal... Oh no, opponent's going to Ghost Quarter our land? Actually, that can give us green mana. Well, we're going to float a mana just to be professional. Get a Forest. Actually helps us a little bit. I don't think there's any reason to shuffle with Elixir in this moment. Now the damage is about to start happening. It is turn 6, and for a lot of metas, this is pretty common. Turn 5, turn 6, you start looking at like the setup pieces, and you start seeing some damage and some things that can lead to problems. If you like the mono white style of play or the like white X style of play, typically you want to wipe the board right about now and then kind of start doing your thing. But that's not really how this deck is built, so it's going to be an interesting ride from here. We'll see what happens. We're going to draw a card that's going to put a counter on Toothy. Seems good. There's a Sylvan Caryatid. So, like, here are our choices. We can try playing around the board wipe. Like, the thing I don't want to lose into the board wipe is our mana dorks. Like, those are the things that we're going to need later into this game, I think. We have 6 total mana, which means we can get Ramos. Ramos isn't as bad to lose. We can always get it back, but maybe we go a little bit risky right here. I want to say, whenever you draw a card, put a counter on it, and you gain life. Life gain is cool. Think I'm going to go Happily Ever After, because, like I said, probably not getting shot. And then I think Faber Welder. Hope Faber Welder doesn't get shot. If it does, we still got Sylvan Carry added, which is at least something. Happily Ever After comes in, we're going to gain 5 life and draw a card. Each player will do that. Ooh, that's a Dismantling Wave. Maybe we're doing that instead. Nothing for the Mardu opponent yet. Can we wait one more turn? Skullclamp's gonna do a lot. Who would wipe the board right now? I don't think any of our opponents are in a position to wipe the board, honestly. They all have things that they like, so based on that, I don't think anyone's going to wipe. Because creatures with True Conviction, creatures that get bigger in scale, and pumps out a ton of bodies, gains a lot of life. So, yeah, I think we would need to be the ones to wipe the board, and, you know, I talk about this so much. Everyone needs to run more board wipes than they do. Board wipe numbers are getting really low. A lot of people are on like 2 or 3. For exactly the situation we're in right now, creature heavy kind of setting, a lot of creatures on the board, a lot of stuff starting to pile up. We're a little behind, honestly. You want to wipe the board right here. Like, you just don't want all this value to get out of control and kind of get to this unrecoverable place. We still need to gain some life. What do we need to have? Needs to be greater than our starting life total. So we're like actually not terribly far away from Happily Ever After, but we're probably going to get attacked a little bit right here. We have 3 of 5 colors and 5 card types of the 6 that we need. It actually isn't too bad. And then we still have to gain our life, of course. We could theoretically sword something if we meet the other conditions. Lotus Field coming in for opponent. Someone asked me an interesting question about this the other day. In a video, I asked, what is the use case for Lotus Field? Like, I get it if you're having a deck that like has untapped shenanigans in it, sure. What do you do with it outside of that? Someone brought up a great point, which is that if you're playing mono white, this reduces your land count, which is going to help you to trigger things like Land Tax, Tithe, Gift of Estates. And now we got that new Keeper of the Accord coming, and I think, what is it? It's the Commander Legends set, I believe. Seems pretty good. Oh, that's a Luminous Broodmoth. Board wipes just got less good. We probably need to swords the Broodmoth if a board wipe should find its way on the stack. We don't have any mana to do that, but like that's a thing we should be thinking about, I think. Boreas Charger in for opponent. Yeah, just so much value. They're paying 1 for this. Paid 1. If we can get to 8 mana, like it actually might make sense to try and cycle this. We are 2 mana away currently. Actually, we could do it with the Faber Welder. Doesn't solve our board wipe problem, though, but it gets rid of Skull Clamp, 2 pieces of cost reduction, True Conviction, and a Medallion. Those are all things. Thankfully, most of this stuff 1/1s, and our 3/3s kind of keep those away a little bit. Let's see what happens with the Battle Cry and the Soldiers right here. Looks like a lot of that was going into the Mardu player. Gaining more life, and a little bit into Nahiri. Boots on the Archangel of Tithes. Yep, going to be really tough to attack in there now. Costs 1 additional for each creature that attacks. Also costs 1 additional to block. That's a thing to remember too, so as long as they don't go anywhere with that, and as long as it's untapped, does nasty stuff. Oh, that's only while it's attacking. Still. Good card. Good card. Opponent's going to Vindicate on the Lightning Greaves, okay. And Banshee's Blade gets charge counters on it. Looks like opponent's doing like a Vampire +1/+1 counter tribal kind of thing. Banshee's Blade very much in the theme of what all the vampires tend to do. So far we've only seen mono red creatures out of them. Kind of interesting. Not sure what else is in there. Falconrath Marauder is coming our way. Yep. Keep us at a range of Happily Ever After. Not much we can do about it. It does have flying. Sean's going to get 3 more tokens off of Varchild. That's going to trigger Auriok Champion 3 times, but that is a lot of 1/1s with Double Strike. Bunch of 1/1s with Double Strike swinging into Kithron. Kithron's up to 59. Whew. I think they're going to be sad when they find out about this Archangel of Tides, though. Yep. All coming our way. This is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. One of the vampires. This can't be blocked by humans. Yeah, we're going to feel this a bit. Question is, do they have some sort of onboard effect? I don't think that they do. I think we need to try and stop a little bit of this damage. If Toothy goes down, at least we draw a couple cards. I'd really prefer Fabro stays alive, though. We need that mana. So we eat 2 tokens. We go down to 25. Ooh. That's a Winds of Abandon. That's good. Oh my god, opponents are going to get so many lands. Well, we're going to draw a couple cards. We're going to lose the Fabro Welder, which I'm not at all excited about, but we'll get 2 lands, which we badly need. We'll draw a couple cards, which we also badly need, but opponents are going to get so much stuff. We have a black mana currently. We don't have any red. Let's get some red. Make sure all of our colors are covered. Get another forest. We do have a lot of green in hand. I talk about it a lot in various places here and on Twitter. Winds of Abandon is a skill-intense card, and it's good, and you should probably run it, but it doesn't always do the thing that you want. This situation is a little bit scary because opponents are really going to get a lot of lands, especially Kithron. Ponycorn is going to get 3 lands, which is still good. It's not going to be like the 10 that Kithron's going to get, but oh man, that probably puts us on like we have to Dismantling Wave, because with the double cost reduction and Skull Clamp, they're going to be able to do so much, and like we just can't have that happen. This takes Varchild out of play, and so now Ponycorn's going to gain control of all the 1/1s. It's interesting. So 4 1/1s back to their side. Boreas Charger trigger. They have the most lands by a long shot, so nothing on the Boreas Charger. And then we draw 2. There's another land. Good, I want to make that land drop. Guardian Project is card draw. That's important. There's Sidar. Sidar is cool. Play the Field of Ruin. We have 9 mana currently, which means if we cycle this, we'll have 1 left. That's not the best, but things to think about. We'd have to give up on Elixir of Immortality. We would give up on Happily Ever After. But being that our life total is pretty low right now, I'm already giving up on it anyway. I think we have to take this turn off and just do it, though. I just don't think there's any real way around it. Let's make some mana. Let's make a white, I guess. Draw a card. Command Tower, that's actually really helpful. We can play that next turn. I think we'd cycle this Dismantling Wave. We'll leave up swords in case we got to sword something. So this is, 1, going to destroy everything, which we badly need to do. But 2, it's also going to get us another card draw. And actually, that card draw is going to put us at 8 cards. So we'll have to discard the hand side. Ooh, Maelstrom Nexus. That's interesting. What are we getting rid of? Let's just do the math. So if we play that, that's 5 mana. We'll be on 10 mana next turn, I think. So I think we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want the 4 drops. We definitely want... Oh, you know what, though? It's going to be slow because you cast it next turn. You don't get the Cascade the turn that you cast it. That being the case, we'll get rid of Sidar, I think. Actually, maybe not. Creatures your opponents control with flying or reach can't block power creatures with power 2 or less. Sidar is cool, but it's not the coolest thing we have, so Sidar going down. Oh my god, Kithron has so much mana. That's 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. They have 17 mana. They only have 4 cards in hand, thankfully. Hopefully none of them are like crazy value pieces. Here comes Mangara. Yep, of course, start with that. You know, maybe we just swords it on principle so that they don't draw more cards, because with that amount of mana, they're just going to be able to do so much. Here comes Basri's Lieutenant. That is also a good card. Vigilance. Protection from multicolored. Enters the battlefield. Put a counter on a creature you control. When Lieutenant or another creature you control dies, if it had a +1/+1 counter on it, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with Vigilance. It's pretty good board wipe protection. Puts counter on Mangara. Mangara now a 3/5. Plays a land. That's 1 less card in their hand. Ranger Captain of Eos. Yep. Can get a 1-drop. Gets a Souls Warden. Yep. Soul Warden coming in. Makes a token with Adanto, the first fort. Yep. So if we swords them, they literally just cast Mangara again next turn. Is that worth it? Do we want them to... I mean, I just don't want them to draw cards. That's so much mana. Yeah. I'm just going to swords it right now and not even take the chance. Because opponents are going to most certainly try to rebuild right here, and I just don't want them to draw a million more cards, because with that amount of mana, you can just get so much done in a turn. Mangara, back to the command zone. Opponent gains a little bit of life. Winds of Abandon, interesting right there in that it got around the Luminous Broodmoth. That was a concern for a moment. So standard board wipes would have been off the table because they all just come back with the Broodmoth. Doesn't help tokens that much. And there were quite a few tokens on the battlefield. But still, the big stuff, Hero Blade Hold, Archangel of Tithes, Auriok Champion, all good things. Ravos into play. No creatures in graveyard. They all got exiled. Opponent gains life with the Soul's Warden. Markov Blademaster into play. Fun card. Gets big quickly. Soul's Warden triggers again. Luminous Broodmoth into play. Yep. Pretty good. Soul Warden. Rogue's Passage off the top. Get the command tower into play. Brings it back to our turn. I think this turn's going to be Guardian Project Shabraz. You know what? We could go Ramos. Yeah, let's get Ramos. Want the card draw, but we have a land set up, and I think that's important. Play Ramos. Ooh, we can put... Pier seems really good with Ramos. I was thinking Caryatid, but now I'm thinking Pier. Because the sooner we can trigger that Ramos ability, that's going to give us a lot of mana ramp that we badly, badly need. So let's get Pier into play. That'll trigger Ramos one time. 5/5 flying, also a reasonable blocker. We get a partner trigger. I don't think that's going to do anything for us, though. Soul Warden trigger. We'll take a peek in a shuffle, just cuz. I'm not sure if casting Shabraz gets us 3 counters or if that gets us 4 counters. Based on how Pier and Ramos' wording work and multicolors. It'll be interesting. Mangara back to play. Yep, no big deal with that amount of mana. That's another Winds of Abandon. Sad we're not going to get to use Ramos, but at least we're getting some mana back. We're out of forests in the deck, which isn't great because we have a lot of green cost in hand. Let's get an island. We have 2 blue costs in hand, and the swamp is covered. 2 white costs in hand. Let's get a plains. Dragon Engine back to the command zone. We're wide open right here, but at least that helps us with the ramp, and at least we didn't lose like our huge pieces. We lost Pier, and Pier was definitely going to be cool. Ramos we can get back some timetable. This sets the board up where if an opponent has a board wipe, they will probably use it because that's a lot of stuff right here to kind of take down. So opponent doing some attacks, spreading it around a little bit. They're in the unenviable position of being the arch enemy, like low on cards. It's not necessarily the best, but Mangara's in play, so multi-spells a turn, they will draw some cards, and unless someone has a way to get rid of it, it's probably going to happen. Yeah, I don't love that Maelstrom Nexus, like, you can't cast it and then use it in the same turn. Sunbird's Invocation gives you that kind of effect. Wild Pair, all that stuff will give you that kind of effect, which is really nice. If we cast Guardian Project, we'd have 8 mana left over. Means that we could go Shabraz and Caryatid. We're definitely going to need to get a creature in play unless a board wipe happens. If a board wipe happens, then we can go on the slow route of like Maelstrom Nexus Guardian Project. And then, try to set up for the really big turn after it. And then everything we do creates insane amounts of value. And that will be awesome. See what opponent's got for us. There's an Iroas. That's a nice play right here because that's probably not getting hit by a board wipe. 2 Winds of Abandon down. So even if Sean wants to wipe the board, that Iroas is probably safe. And also is just a good card. Here comes a Duelist Heritage. Ooh. Has the ability to melt life totals. They haven't cast Bruse Tarl yet. I wonder if they have something planned for the open mana. Settle the wreckage, get more lands. Is that it? A lot of inadvertent ramp in this game. 2 Winds of Abandon have gone off. That's an Austere Command. All right, we can go on the slow plan if we want. Going for all creatures, that seems totally fair. We've been 1 mana off from having some really cool turns. If we went like Ancient Tomb or something off the top, we could go Ramos, then Maelstrom Nexus, get all that mana back, and then cast a bunch more stuff. Ever after, you say, return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. They become zombies. Yeah. Means we can be... Well, there's only Sidar Kondo in our graveyard because everything else has been exiled, but it'll give us some protection against additional non-exile based board wipes, and that could be nice. That could be really nice. Play this Rogue's Passage. Do we think more enchantment removal is coming? That's a question. Maybe we go Guardian Project and Ramos right here, and then we can do the Maelstrom Nexus thing next turn, and it'll essentially pay for itself, which is really cool. Guardian Project trigger, Ramos coming in, and we draw a Vial Smasher. Sweet. But yeah, if we had 1 more mana last turn, we could have went Ramos into Maelstrom Nexus, and that would have been sweet. Because then we probably cast like most of the rest of our hand after it. Turn 9 now. Game is slowed down after a bunch of board wipes. We'll see how people rebuild. Kithron, 3 cards in hand, tons of mana. Card draw in the command zone in the form of Mangara. Savine's Reclamation, going to get some stuff back. There's an Oketra's Monument. And when they flash it back, I imagine they're getting that Skull Clamp. Yeah, that all seems good. That's a big draw for them. In theory, normally the Ravos deck would rebuild pretty well, but so much exile that no creatures in their graveyard is disappointing. But even if, let's see, if they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If they cast both their commanders, they would have 6 loyalty for Iroas. Iroas with double strike can just get busy. So that's a thing. Yep, here comes the flashback Savines. Let's get the Lightning Greaves, and yep, Skullclamp is back. So Oketra's plus Skullclamp is going to do work right here. We are out of answers for that. We still need time, because Nexus isn't going to do the thing next turn, and we're still kind of setting up. Like, we're not in the completely take over the game yet. Like, we're going to have the big turn where we're kind of exposed, which I think is next turn, where we try to get all this big stuff going, and then opponents are going to have a good crack to blow that up if they want to. So, you know, hopefully the removal doesn't come in our direction, but you never know if it will. Heliod Sunkrown coming down, yep, also seems pretty good. So opponent also getting their pieces set up again, but ooh, Suture Priest. Suture Priest's gonna be pretty good, but didn't just take over the game with their board state. But next turn will be scary for them. Our turn will also be pretty scary, I think, but I think just kind of like doing the math in our head, we just need more turns than they do right now. Our life total's lower, theirs is really high. And with the amount of mana they have, again, they can just do a lot of wild stuff. They clamp a token. Clamps another token. Back up to 6 cards, yep. So not a ton in play right now. There's a land. But if Iroas wanted to attack their way on their turn, that would be cool. Here's a Serra Ascendant into play. Yep, that's going to be big Serra Ascendant. Suture Priest. Heliod Suncrown's going to trigger. Yep. Puts counter on Heliod. Heliod getting bigger. Boots on Serra Ascendant. Yep. Choices here. Could come into us if they don't want to deal with the value. Gonna go into Sean, who's got a lot of life. Not a lot of mana, though. They were on the wrong end of those Winds of Abandon. A lot of... just didn't get a lot of lands out of it, and that's kind of a scary place to be. But yeah, as good as Winds of Abandon is, Winds of Abandon has kind of facilitated the situation of Kithron being pretty far ahead with a lot of value pieces, and we blew up the value pieces, now they're back, and... their next turn is going to be scary. That's what's going to happen. Falconrath Exterminator. That's a cool one. You don't see that one as much. I looked at that for Zerda. You could use it in there because the ability only costs a single red, and it's not awful. It's not awful. Deals combat damage to player, put a +1 counter on it. Pay for the activated ability. Deals damage to target creature player equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on it. So you do need to get a counter on it somewhere. But once you do that, you kind of just ping things endlessly. Could actually be, well, they don't have Zerda out, so too much mana. But if you had Zerda right now, it'd be good against the token stuff over here. Ravos back into play. No Bruse Tarl. Opponent's got something instant speed over there. I don't think we want to mess with them if we don't have to. Because they didn't cast Bruse last turn either. Opponent on 6 planes. Getting closer to that Ameria. No creatures in graveyard for them, so Ameria not a concern yet. All the exile this game. See what they got? It's a Requiem Angel. Whenever another non-spirit creature you control dies, create a 1/1 white spirit with flying. Yeah, it's decent. Flying blocker makes bodies that fly. Seems relevant. We draw a Voyaging Satyr. So let's play this Maelstrom Nexus. I've been thinking about the risk involved in attacking right here. If we attack and someone has like a swords or something, then we're not going to get the mana, and I think that would be so bad for us. But the commander damage is very attractive over here. But I guess if we put a bunch of commander damage on them, then they're going to have even more reason to destroy Ramos. So as much as I really want to attack with a big Ramos right here, I think I'm going to play it cool for a turn until we're set up a little bit better. We've never really been able to get like on our feet in this game because of the timing of the removal. So I don't think I want to upset the balance of things too much, and I just don't want to risk losing this mana during combat. So potentially we can attack after we cast all this stuff. Maybe that's a thing, but... so remove the things, remove the counters to get 10 mana, 2 of each color. Yeah. Let's get Shabraz. Not planning to need Ever After. We'll use all the black mana. Use the white mana. Gets 2 counters on Ramos. Triggers Suture Priest, Guardian Project, and Shabraz will partner. Totally did those in the wrong order. Ooh, that's a Sunbird's Invocation. That is cool. There's the card. That is the card we added. It's about to do some things. Use the partner ability. Get Brawlin. Cast Sunbird's Invocation. Ramos. Cast Brawlin. Ramos and Sunbirds will trigger. Yep. Sunbirds trigger. Let's get Trin, Champion of Freedom. Yeah, let's do it. Trin will trigger Ramos. Trigger Suture Priest, Guardian Project, and Trin partner with trigger. Use Trin's ability. Get Sylvar. Draw with Guardian Project. Triggers Shabraz. We draw Haldon. Brawlin and Guardian Project trigger. Suture Priest trigger. Slowly burning our life. Guardian Project. We draw Kazur, Ruthless Stalker. Shabraz gets bigger. No need to partner. We're up to 9 cards in hand. That is quite a few. 2 mana left. That gives this guy Shark Trample. That gives a human flying. Let's play Sylvan Caryatid. If we had like something cool at instant speed to hold up, I would do it, but we don't really, so I'm just going to tap out. Hope for the best. Nothing with Sunbirds right here, so those will go to the bottom. Suture Priest, Guardian Project. There's a land. We haven't played a land yet. All right, let's get a land into play. To attack with Ramos or not to attack with Ramos. If we attack with Ramos, we're definitely going to get attacked back. But we can also put him on 10 commander, and like next turn, they might just die. I'm valuing the blocker right now. Like, I know that I feel like we need that blocker. I'm just looking at what's on board, and I'm looking at the things that can happen. There's an Iroas with double strike. Yeah, there's Menace. All that matters. Those are all things that matter, so don't feel safe enough to go anywhere with the Ramos yet. Maybe next turn, if we can get a few more creatures into play, particularly things that block, and especially are big and or block flying. Next turn, we should be able to go like Hog Wild. Oh no, that's Heliod's Intervention. That's gonna crush us. So Guardian Project, Maelstrom Nexus, Sunbird's Invocation, Ramos all going down. Yup. I think I'm actually gonna send Ramos to the graveyard. So all of our cool value pieces just got blued up. Also Duelist Heritage going down. Oh, you know, if we attacked, they might have double striked it and really put them on a lot of commander damage. No, I'm going to send Ramos to the graveyard. We have the Ever After. Might as well use it. Oh, the value pieces. That hurts. So kind of been like a removal slugfest up to this point. But we got a lot done right there. We got bodies into play. And we refilled our hand. Now we have some gas in our hand, and I like that. I got to read this one. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. Yeah. So there's a +1/+1 counter sub-theme going on with this deck, and I like it. I think it's pretty cool. Creature coming in, Heliod Suncrown, gonna pump up the Sarah Ascendant. Yep. Skull Clamping the token. Yep. Giver of Ruins into play. Oh, Catcher's Monument. Let's go clamp onto a token. A Johnny Goldmane. Gonna go for the 2 life. That's interesting. Usually you go for the minus. Especially in their current state. Oh, right, because it triggers Heliod. Okay. Makes a little more sense. It's not that they have an insane amount of power on board. They have a decent amount, but now they've got a lot of, like, varied effects. They've got cost reduction. They've got protection. They've got a big flyer, lifelink. They've got Heliod, who's indestructible. So it's just, like, it's going to be some resilience in there as a planeswalker. Opponent's coming in to us with this 9/9. We're going to feel that. We are going to feel that. Down to 15, Heliod trigger. Opponent's up to 93. Oh, should have took the Ramos hit. Should have sent the Ramos in. Whittling through 93 is just going to be hard. The Mardu deck might be able to do it if they can get some stuff going, but it's still... They need to, like, get into a commanding board position to do that, which is just hard, given all the, like, value and mana that Mangara has. They're just going to be able to draw so many more pieces. Getting rid of the Skull Clamp, I think, is going to be a big deal. Because if you can at least shut off a little bit of their card draw, they can't just, like, cast a creature, get a token, and then go wild. That's an Acropolis Regent. We saw something like this before. Maybe we've actually seen this deck before. If you Bruse Tarl, a Necropolis Regent, or really anything, wild things happen. And opponent has no flying blockers. Also, there's an Iroas. Here comes Bruse Tarl. Yeah, things about to get real. Things are about to get real. Also, if you put 1,000,000 counters on this Falconrath Exterminator, it can also start shooting down the board, which is kind of cool. Suture Priest and Bruse Tarl trigger. Bruse Tarl on the Ravos. Athreos into play, some board wipe protection for opponent, and that also turns on Iroas. Now opponent's got a pretty threatening board. This is the type of board that can chew through 93 life. Also, Ravos is commander damage, so is Bruse. Yep, everything into Kithron. Nope, changes their mind. Iroas into Sean. Falconrath into Sean. Ravos into Mangara. So it's going to hit once, get bigger, then hit again. It'll be a meaningful amount of commander damage. To the point where, like, next turn probably kills them if they don't answer it. Necropolis Regent trigger. Becomes a 4/4. Gets for 2 commander. The other creatures hit. They get Necropolis Regent triggers. I don't know that I love Iroas with a bunch of +1/+1 counters on it. That's a really scary thought. This is going to be tough to deal with. It's a lot of indestructible. They can get things back with Athreos, so it like has to be exile. They've got flying stuff. Their things are going to get huge. They've got Iroas, so like menace and can't die while they're attacking. Ooh. Opponent making things real over here. Yeah, I think we've seen this deck before, so I think it's just like a combat-focused Mardu deck with Necropolis Regent doing some cool stuff. I remember seeing this, Ravos, Necropolis Regent, Bruse Tarl, and thinking, that's really cool. Here it is again, and the cool thing about playing decks like this is when you have a life gain opponent who just has absurd amounts of life for you to chew through, them attacking us wouldn't be all that satisfying because we're at 15, so like, you know, one creature probably kills us if they send Iroas and like we don't block it. That's a problem for us, so like sometimes it's nice to have a punching bag just to see how much damage you can do and actually needing that amount of damage to matter. Because very quickly, like when you start getting a lot of damage doubling going, the amount of damage you can do quickly becomes unnecessary because people either die to commander damage or, you know, if they're at like 20 life, triple or quadruple damage turns just about anything lethal, so these situations are fun. This is some real battle cruisery kind of stuff. Now, granted, there's been a lot of removal up to this point, but if you like creatures and attacking, I like what I'm seeing over on the Mardu side of the board right now. Angel going into the Ajani. Ajani goes down. Opponent messaged us, said they have a single combat that they're thinking about. I don't know that wiping again makes sense. Like, we've established that Mangara can just rebuild better than the rest of us. I think Kithron and Pony are gonna like smash into each other pretty hard here. Brings back to our turn. We draw. We get a land. We get a counter and a life with Shabraz. It's Canopy Vista. We have basics, so we can get it in untapped, which is nice. I think we're gonna be in full block mode right here. Play the Canopy Vista. Let's get Ever After for Ramos and Sidar. Use all our colorless mana. Yeah, we're in full block mode. Iroas is super scary. Suture Priest triggers. Yep. That's a human, which means we can sacrifice it to Sylvar. Give it an indestructible, which I think is relevant. Counter on Ramos. Sylvar into play. Trin is already in play, so can't partner. But we have up to 4 mana left. We can go for Kazur. I think I'm going to go for Haldan right here. Paco's pretty cool. So we'll partner with down to 12. Ouch, getting down there. Grab Paco. And I think that's it. I think we pass like that. We can give Brawlin flying with the Sky Shark. We can actually give any human flying, which could be relevant. But I'm staying put. I know we get attack and like try to get a token, but Iroas Menace is super scary. Tokens are scary. Many things are scary. Well of Lost Dreams. Uh-oh. Opponent can draw a lot. I mean, I guess they already have Skull Clamp, which is probably more efficient. Yeah, Skull Clamp's more efficient draw, but opponent going to send a 9/9 into the Mardu opponent. It's got flying. This is a board wipe play. Well of Lost Dreams and Heliod will trigger. We're going to draw with a Well of Lost Dreams. Oh, that's good. That is really good. Now the thing, because they can draw so much, they've got 52 cards left in their library. They're a good ways through their library. They could run into like board wipe Teferi's Protection, and that would be devastating. They got a Nykthos in play now too. Not tons of White Devotion, but it's not that hard of a problem to fix. Crested Sunmare. At least it's not a board wipe. That's a pretty good one, though. Now their life gain is going to turn into 5/5 Indestructibles. Well of Lost Dreams, Heliod will trigger. Suture Priest. Suture Priest a bit of a problem for us. We're down to 12. So slamming more creatures isn't necessarily the answer. And this is a creature-heavy kind of deck. 35 creatures. Seems bad. We need to draw some cards and try to get our life back up with Shabraz. Opponent's at 98. This is 3 open mana. That could be a Teferi's Protection. Opponent's got 41 cards left in their library. They have valued so hard. Alright, let's see if we found the Teferi's Protection. Let's see if opponent plays around Teferi's Protection. They've got a lot of damage potential with their stuff on board. Let's see how everything goes. Yeah, opponent doing some attacks. Bruse Tarl trigger. On the Ravos. This would be lethal if opponent doesn't interact with this. Yep, there's the Teferi's Protection. Thought that was coming. We're going to have some creatures to deal with ourselves. So opponent's got Athreos coming our way, Necropolis Region coming our way, Falconrath Exterminator coming our way. Yeah, that's some stuff. That one's got flying. We can have up to 2 flyers. No, we can have up to 3 flyers. I would like Ramos to survive. I think the mana's too valuable. Also, we're probably on the commander damage people out of the game plan. Actually, we can make other humans flying. What other humans do we have? Sidar is like not the most helpful human, so blue or white give flying, so we'll make a white. Activate Shabraz, give Sidar flying. Alright, so time to go to blocks. This isn't big enough to necessarily kill anything. They could damage a lot of things down, which is bad. But they probably need to save that, so Shabraz, Sidar. Got an Athreos coming in. Block with these two. Oh, we haven't blocked Necropolis Regent, which is a problem. So block like that, we're not going to take any damage, but we're going to lose at least a few creatures. We can sacrifice Haldon to make Sylvar indestructible. Actually, we can sacrifice Brawlin. I think Brawlin is less relevant. So sacrifice a human. We could also sacrifice Trin, since we're just going to lose Trin anyway. Brawlin's flying. I'll sacrifice... Yeah, we'll sacrifice Brawlin. I think here come the damage triggers. Yep. I'm going to try to destroy Sylvar. Whatever. If they want to tap out their mana doing that. I mean, now they're in a bad spot against the token player, though. Against Mono White, because they are wide open. Unless a board wipe's coming right here. Iroas now has 32 power. That is the thing. Opponent's going to shoot down the rest of our creatures. Awesome. Ameria trigger, no creatures in graveyard. Here comes Shadow Spear. Yeah, that seems helpful. Life gain is good. Equip Shadow Spear. We can get an extra creature with Kazur. We need something big, though. I don't know if there's anything big enough left in the deck. Wild Pair could be interesting. Nexus of Fate. Nexus of Fate is big enough. Krav Regna shenanigans, maybe. But there's a land. Play the land. I think we just cast everything. Maybe get rid of the Voyaging Satyr with Gaia Reach Sanitarium. This one has haste. That's interesting. Unfortunately, we lost its partner. Yeah, I guess cast Paco. Counters on Ramos. Gives us mana. Activate Ramos's ability. Get a bunch of mana. Loot with Gaia Reach. It's a Sunken Hollow. Yep, that's not what we were looking for. Well, that being the case, discard the land. Get all the stuff in play. Vile Smasher. Kazur. Partner for Ukima. Grab Ukima. What does this do? Can't be blocked. When it leaves the battlefield, does X damage to target player and you gain X life, where X is its power. That's kind of cool. That is helpful. Let's get that into play. You have partners, but we already have the partner. I'm going to make Paco unblockable. Send it into Ponycorn. If we survive by some miracle, then I'd like to have some size on Paco. It's now a 4/4. We exiled Jazal Goldmane. Ooh, Elspeth, Sun's Champion. Oh, we gotta get the blue one back. We gotta get Haldan back. And Rakish Air. And we'll get another counter on it from Kazur. Puts opponent down to 23, which is like, you know, closes the distance a little bit that Kithron would need to go on that. Here's the question. Do we use Field of Ruin to destroy Nykthos or not? We'll leave it up. We're giving up a blocker by doing that, but see how it goes. Impassioned Orator. Another creature enters the battlefield to gain a life. A Catcher's Monument. Opponent reached 100 life. There they go. Heliod's Well of Lost Dreams. A Johnny's Pridemate. Trigger all the stuff. That's an Enlightened Tutor. Yep. Generous Gift on Shadow Spear. Opponent gets hit with the Life Lost trigger on the Elephant. Knight of the White Orchid. Uh-oh, that's a mirror entity. I don't know. Shooting Nykthos now doesn't really do that much. Opponent has 10 Devotion. Authority of the Consoles for opponent. That's going to make it tough to get blockers. 12 mana off the Nykthos. 13 mana. 14 mana. I think it's all going into the mirror entity. If that's the case, we can't get hit by any of them. Yep, X14. See how many legal attackers they have. Probably could have taken the extra blocker right here. Boots onto the mirror entity. I don't think they can kill the table yet, because I don't think a lot of their creatures can attack. Well, mirror entity's gonna Johnny's Pridemate rather is gonna one-shot Mardu opponent. That actually frees up a lot of space to send attackers our way. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll see if we survive this. I don't know if we will. We'll try to keep Ramos alive if we can. Oh, that one has Shadow. That's a problem. How many creatures are actually coming at us? This big one is. And it's flying, so we're going to have to throw our commander in front of that. Don't want to be doing that, but we have to. I think we have everything blocked. We survived. Mardu opponent goes down. Yeah, they... At the very least, they needed to leave up mana. If they left up mana to use the Exterminator ability, then they probably still be alive, because they could have shot some really key pieces. I don't know why they went after us so hard. We showed, like, no aggression toward them at all. You know, you had to see the Teferi's Protection was coming with the 3 mana, so I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking right there. I know we had some stuff, but, like, not nearly everything that was going on over here. Opponent's up to 138, by the way. More life gain triggers off of everything, and Requiem Angel is going to create a 1/1 spirit. It actually creates 2 of them. They do come in tapped. Oh, that's so bad. Crested Sunmare at the end step. More life gain triggers. The number of things we can draw are not amazing. Windfall would probably be good. Nexus of Fate would be okay. But we need to control the board. We need to control the board. We need to, like, draw more cards, which already means we're looking at multiple cards. Opponent doesn't have a lot of cards left in hand after casting everything, so even Windfall isn't going to do that much. Sean's turn. He gets an Emeria trigger. Actually has creatures in his graveyard. Going to get back the Requiem Angel. Seems good. Suture Priest Authority of the consoles. Yep. The problem, even with a single combat, Serra Ascendant is flying. And has boots on it. I'm gonna send 2 spirits over to them. Actually, they should have left 1 back because hard to get, with Authority of the consoles, hard to get blockers. Oh, they have 2 pairs of boots over there. Well, they can't recast creatures, but still. Yeah, this is not going to be good. Like, we need to draw some really specific things. Gonna gain some life with a Johnny. I would love to gain some life. Here comes single combat. Each player chooses a creature they control, sacrifices the rest. Can't cast creature or planeswalker spells until the end of their next turn. That not being able to recast thing is going to be interesting because we really want Ramos. And even if we did, Ramos is going to come in tapped, so we are super exposed to Serra Ascendant. We're going to save Paco, I think. I just don't think a Ukima does enough right here. Well, that we've lost all the things that can pump it, so... Ukima's going to gain us a little bit of life. Yep, there is a Serra Ascendant that is, well, not entirely lethal yet. We go back up to 14. That could be a relevant amount of life gain. We'll see. Because they may actually go this direction. Ooh, that's a Beast Within. Loot the Voyaging Satyr. That's a Crom. We can't cast Crom yet. Field. Oh, opponent has an Emeria also? What can they get back? Heliod they can get back. Shoot Emeria, I guess. Get an island. I'm going to leave this blocker back because they have Swiftfoot Boots. Actually, no, they can't cast creatures, right? But they could, like, theoretically cast a spell that gets... we'll swing it in. Send it in. I don't know that there's, like, really a way out of where we are. Paco's going to trigger. Start exiling more stuff. We had a Cavalier of Dawn. It's not awful. And a Karmic Guide. That hurts for them. Though they may not survive this turn. Blind Obedience double tapped. That's also a problem in that they can just cast spells to extort. Skull Clamp onto the... Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to Beast Within the Blind Obedience right now because they haven't extorted us yet. As long as they don't have an instant, it should be hopefully okay right here. Oh, you know what I forgot about, though? They can just move the boots onto the Beast. But that's risky if Sean has like a Swords or Path. So Blind Obedience down. One's going to make a token. Yeah, equip the Beast. Yep, now they can have lethal. Still only on one of us. Knew I shouldn't have attacked. Let's see what they do. Yep, coming our way, of course. Yeah, I knew we should have stayed back. But I don't know, it's just like, how do we get out of this? I don't think there's enough punch in the deck, really, to work our way out. Nexus of Fate is probably about it. Down we go. Yeah, catching Blind Obedience there is not great. Not great. If we left the blocker up, but it's just like, what do we do? They have mana and card draw. They're down to 26 cards in the library. They've looked at so many cards. Shadow Spear for opponent. Surprised I didn't go with that first. That's a lot of life gain. It's also more damage. Opponent gets an Emeria trigger. Gets back Mangara. Comes in tapped. Opponent going to go on the attack. This is either them scooping or they have another board wipe. It's a Martial Coup. Huh. I kind of wish we were still alive. Although, those tokens are going to come in tapped. And opponent still has 2 sets of boots. But I guess they would need something big, and like mono white doesn't have like big things without some sort of like combo. Like you need Heliod in play to kind of make them big. Authority of the Consoles triggers a bunch of time. Requiem Angel, 7 tokens, all tapped. One Authority of the Consoles, Well of Lost Dreams, basically all of the cards in their deck. Here's an interesting scenario. They have 10 cards in hand. We don't know what's in their hand, what creatures are left, but like there's some potential that they don't have enough gas left in the deck to punch their way through 7 tokens. Ketra's Monument maybe helps, but that is some world that could exist. That if Sean's able to get anything into play at all that just like blocks, gets in the way, that like Mangara may not have enough juice left. That's a Hall of Heliod's Generosity. If there's like a True Conviction or something, that can just get Heliod back. Daxos coming into play. There's a lot of things that can finish it now. Archangel of Thune, that can finish it. With the Daxos. Oh, and the game has restarted. Yep, down it goes. I think Kithron had it. I don't think there's any way out. Because you haste the Archangel right there, plus something else, and however many creatures they can cast, they're all going to get +1 a bunch of times because of the life gain and everything else. So, pretty sure he had the game. As far as this deck, it needs more utility. Now, a fair point is, there was an excessive amount of removal in this game, and some decks just aren't geared for that. Like, this isn't a deck that's geared to take excessive amounts of removal, especially Exile. If some of it was normal Destroy, then it would have been fine. The fact that it was all Exile was super bad news. Just no ability to get anything back. If we could have got some cool stuff back with Ever After, would have been helpful. So, yeah, I think the deck just needs more, like, utility and maybe, like, something to pump the team. Recursion... Something along the lines of like a True Conviction or a Collective Blessing. Just something to make your creatures lethal in combat. I think that's kind of missing right now. So either of those. I wasn't impressed with this Maelstrom Nexus. It's kind of slow. I get that if you cast it, it gives you all the Ramos mana, and that could be kind of cool. Maybe a product of like nothing on our board ever stuck for a turn, which was kind of an issue. Again, I would lighten up this 3 converted mana cost slot. You've got things like Dismantling Wave, which was cool and it was great, but you know, you might as well just run like an Austere Command, get something bigger and more powerful, just to offload your 3 converted mana costs. Beast Within, as good as it is, maybe like a Winged of Judgment, although 5's a little crowded right now too, but I would try to spread out the mana curve a little bit more. You definitely need more to do with 2 mana. I would probably get rid of like the Caryatid and stuff and these and just go for like things that get lands just because they're safer. You don't want them getting blown up. But yeah, I think a little bit more to do early in the curve. Wherever you can offload things and get effects in different places, I would probably do that. Like, Eternal Witness is good, but you could use something bigger like a Seasons Past is really, really cool. It's a more powerful effect for more mana type of thing. Oh, and I think the big one too is just like Lurking Predators. This thing's just going to spit creatures into play like no other, so I would add that. I would add the Sunbirds. I think the deck needs just a little bit more ramp and a little bit more removal. Those are kind of my main takeaways right here. And again, this was kind of an unusual game, it's just that there was tons of removal. So that's kind of the tweaks that I would make. Again, just move some of this, try to move things where you can right here to, you know, right here, and I think you'll have a little bit more success. But again, kind of an out of the ordinary game too. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.